In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. It is a Tuesday of game week. Week one of the college football season is right around the corner, and one of the biggest games in the country will not have one of the biggest names in the country. Dave Portnoy, the famous founder of Barstool Sports, allegedly not going inside the stadium. There's been some back and some forth about what's going on with the Texas-Ohio State game. Of course, Dave Portnoy is doing a conjunction with Fox Sports, and so he was supposed to be one of the main guys, one of the main people talking about that huge matchup there at the Shoe. We'll get into a lot more of that, if he's banned, if he's not banned. It's kind of a he said, she said situation right now. I'm Gerhard Mathangani. Our partner in crime, Simone Eli, still on assignment up in the Empire State, close to where Patrick is from, but no, she will be back here shortly.
Yeah, she will be. I got a chance to check in with her on the show yesterday.
That's
she
right.
did say it was weird being a guest on her own show, but, I mean, great insight as always. And, I mean, it sounds like she's having a lot of fun up there.
Yeah, no question. And she has a lot of stuff. And for those of us that are in Next Star Nation, we'll be able to see a lot of that work come to fruition over the next few weeks and months, all the way and lead up to the Winter Olympic Games out in Italy. So lots of fun stuff there going on with Simone. But she'll be with us a little bit later on this week. We talked about Dave Portnoy at the very top. We'll get into that in just a bit here. Portnoy not allowed here at the stadium. So the story is that the obviously Big Noon will be doing their college football kickoff special from there. Their number one game of the year will be that game. In lead up to it, Dave Portnoy, his Barstool Sports, they have a show that leads up into the game. He was also supposed to be on the pregame show itself. So I'll just read what was coming out of Front Office Sports. Now, the Ohio State athletic director, Ross Bjork, said there was not a reporter ban. They were trying to clarify it. And so a statement from the Ohio State, one of the Ohio State representatives, said that the last hour of the show will only be for the people that are on the main set, the main talent on that set. If you're not familiar with that show, I believe that's still Urban Meyer, Reggie Bush.
Yeah, I think it's Urban Meyer, Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram.
Right, yeah.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
And then, Greg Stone.
That's right, yeah. So they're saying that that's the only crew that's allowed. So basically, maybe using some colorful language there to say that.
Colorful language.
Hey, it's okay, well, he's not really banned, but he's kind of banned. Of course, if you're unfamiliar, Dave Portnoy is a very, very loud, very, very vocal, and very, very lucrative person that donates to the Michigan Wolverines football team. If you hadn't heard, he was a major contributor in getting Bryce Underwood, the Underwood, not Bryce Underwood. Yeah, it is Bryce Underwood.
It is.
For some reason, I get Bryce Underwood and what's his name? Blair Underwood, the actor. There's an actor named Blair Underwood. You have to go back into the days, but every time I see Underwood play, I always think of Blair Underwood, the actor. But no, Bryce Underwood. He was a big part of getting him that $10 million deal that sent him to Ann Arbor, and so I guess some people are saying that he could cause a little ruckus. I'm a New England Patriots fan, and Portnoy is a big Patriots
He's
fan.
a big New Englander in general.
Yes, he is.
Like, he just loves everything up there.
Yeah, he is.
Obviously, with the one bite, everyone knows the rules with
right,
the pizzas.
Right,
I mean, that's where I really started to like him, was the stuff
the
outside
reviews?
of sports.
Yeah,
the pizza reviews.
No doubt. But yeah, he's a huge football fan, and he's judging this from a team that he roots for, that I also root for. I could see it on the other side being a little obnoxious, and so maybe they just don't want that. Maybe they don't want him to fire up some. You being a Michigan guy, I know Michigan's not playing in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for Texas, like it being OSU Texas, I feel like that's a little bit harsh. I can see it for the game
right.
at the end of the season.
Correct.
Then it's like, okay, we
understand.
With everything that happened there in at the Shoe last year, with the planting of the flag in the middle of the field and then the brawls.
You don't want things to get ugly, but also too, I do have my spidey senses also tell me that this also could be a huge. They do this a lot in wrestling, where they kind of like wedge in a storyline to get you more interested. I mean, people are going to be interested in this game either way. I don't know if they're drawing any more people to this, but like hey, tune into the show to see if Portnoy actually finds a way to get on this show. And maybe this is just drawing more eyebrows to the pregame show. Obviously, their competitor on the other side, ESPN, is also having a big pregame show themselves, and it's a big day because one of the members of their team will be, having his last show and his last goodbye there in Lee Corso. And so this all could be like a ratings ploy sort of situation to see if Portnoy will be able to find his way into the shoe or not. But I find all this interesting. But what I do really like is that it does bridge the fact that Portnoy kind of broke the mold of regular what it is to be in sports and to be
like the norms, so to speak. He really reestablished what it meant to cover sports and just do everything in general, especially with Barstool and everything.
100%.
Being able to grow up in that era where he I think in his Instagram bio he goes, "I invented the internet." Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he has in his bio. But I mean, growing up with Barstool really starting to climb up, and now we see other companies,
for sure,
big time companies starting to follow that new mold that he has been able to set.
Exactly, and it's obviously been very lucrative for him and for them, and so we'll see if he's able to get into the shoe on Saturday. But as of right now, he's banned according to some of the folks at Ohio State, but not banned because he's Dave Portnoy, banned because he's not a part of the main anchor set and all of that. So we'll dive into that. But off the heels of that, a guy that we talked about last week in Connor Stallions, he had a really funny kind of little back and forth there on social media about, hey, well, if you want tickets to the game, if you can't come in with the Fox set, how can I get you some tickets?
Take a look at this. You need some tickets? I mean, this is so bold of him to come out and publicly say this after he admitted in the NCAA findings that came out, I believe, a couple of weeks ago about the whole Michigan sign stealing scandal and stuff like that. Admitted to buying $30,000 worth of tickets. Right. So, I mean, who knows how many tickets he's got on this game. It would be pretty bold of him to even – I'm sure he's on a list where it's like this – if you see a transaction come from these cards or this location, do not accept.
Automatically deny. That's Connor Stallions wedging in there. And he might just be doing a little troll thing, which I would love. And honestly, I'd love it either way. Whether he's being serious and actually has some tickets for Portnoy to get into the game, or if he's just being a troll. But I'm pretty sure that Portnoy he could just watch the game from a Texas tailgate, and stay away from the Ohio State fans and still enjoy the game, still enjoy the matchup.
I'm pretty sure the Big Noon Kickoff set outside the stadium doesn't change until the next day. He could honestly just stay on that set. I mean, with going back to when I was at West Virginia last year, Big Noon Kickoff came to the week one matchup against Penn State. And so, that was the first time any major event like that. We didn't have College Game Day.
I was going to ask if College Game Day ever came when you were there.
It was before my time. I think it was right around the Will Greer time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we'll get into a little connection with Will Greer later in our amazing top 5 segment. But no College Game Day. Big Noon Kickoff was the only thing that ever came to West Virginia. But I just remember I was so amazed by the setup and the lead up, that how long it took the crew to set everything up. I mean, they arrived, I believe, the Saturday before game day, and all week they were just building. And then it really became a mini village by the time Saturday rolled around. And you had to get there at obviously the kickoff was at noon. The show started, I think the show starts 2 hours before kickoff. You had to get there at 8 a.m. to get a good standing spot. Wow. I mean, it was truly incredible.
Yeah, and I feel like that show's really exploded over the last few years. I mean, obviously with the talent that they have, but then also being able to go to the marquee games, because I think College Game Day kind of owned whatever big game it was, they were going to be there. And then now Game Day's kind of done this cool thing to where they'll go to different places. They've been to smaller stadiums. They'll go to some HBCUs, and so I kind of like the path they've taken with their show. Obviously, they go to the big games as well, and Coach Saban being on that show and McAfee being on that show, and they've added wrinkles. And they're obviously going to lose a big wrinkle this year in Lee Corso doing his last show this upcoming week. But I thought that was really interesting. That's good stuff there. Coming up on today's show, we will dive a little bit more into that Portnoy ban, not ban situation. We'll also talk Tennessee, Syracuse, one of the big games in the SEC. It's a neutral site game. Our girl Sam Rothman will be there out of WATE over in Knoxville. She will join us on the show a little bit later on. Bama's injuries on the offensive line. We already know about Jam Miller, the running back. Could there be some injuries up front in the trenches as well that Coach Kalen DeBoer and company will have to go through? We'll get to that. And Auburn travels to Waco, a unique Friday night game as the Tigers play Baylor to open up the season coming up this Friday. So just in just a few days here. But this should be a really, really interesting, really fun college football season. I think that the way that it's rolled out here, because the games essentially start on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then you have games on Friday, and games all the way till Labor Day on Monday. College football kind of owns this space for the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, week one is always a special time, whether it's football, baseball, literally any sport.
Right.
Week one, it's like, oh my goodness, we are finally here. But in my opinion, I don't feel like football is truly back. Yeah, we get that taste, as you mentioned, Thursday to Monday this week. Football is not truly back until next week, because then you have Friday night lights with high school.
Yeah.
You've got your massive slate on Saturday, of course.
Right.
And then the NFL on Sunday.
Yeah.
So all you get to do,
I'm with you.
If you're a sports fan, you love this time of year because, I mean, you got football all weekend. And then once we start to get into the nitty-gritty of the season, we got Maction on Tuesday nights and the Thursday night football and everything.
I love it. And I think you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth in the sense that we can appreciate and we love all three levels of football.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends, though, that are on either side of the seesaw. I have friends that really, really love high school football. They like college football. They hate pro football. Mm-hmm. I have some people that they don't care about high school football. They love pro football with a passion, and they love college football with a passion. They like pro football. Then I have friends that don't care about high school, care a little bit about college, and they love the pros. And I feel like once you get to that place where all three are in full swing, then everybody's happy, because like you said, from Tuesday night all the way through Monday night, the next week you're in a Maction game, a high school game, a big college slate, an NFL game, the Monday night game, and then you start back over again.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the way most people are with the sport of basketball.
For sure,
you've got high school basketball. People seem to follow a lot nowadays with, like, mixtapes going crazy.
Absolutely.
Highlight reels and stuff like that. And then, obviously, you've got Saturdays, the big college basketball day. But really, college basketball is where a lot of people are like, okay, this is the highest, I'll watch it.
Right.
People just don't watch the NBA, really.
Yeah,
I mean, you can make your arguments like no one plays defense anymore.
Right.
Like, why are there just a bunch of three-pointers? But, I mean, that basketball is really where I personally see that cut
line.
off.
Yeah. Where some people, it's the same game, same sport. Where people really hate at one level and people really love at another level. And I agree with you. And I'm one that can healthily respect all of them. Respect it more from a skill set standpoint as well. But football, you give it to me, football in any form, and I really love it. We talked about the Ohio State-Texas game to begin with, and we also got a chance to hear from Sark yesterday. Our buddy Roger Wallace came on and talked about Texas's their travel plans, the way that they're handling everything, the way Archer's handling everything. And it seems like they have just been all systems go. But on the other side, Ohio State right now, they're also gearing up for what is a big game for them, because they understand, hey, we're the national champions, but they also understand that this is a completely different looking team than last year.
National champions, new quarterback Julian Sayin, and a college football playoff rematch.
That's exactly right.
You can't script a better week one open than that.
Absolutely. That game is in the shoe. We got a chance to hear from Ryan Day, the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. He spoke earlier today over in Columbus.
I think it's great for college football playing a game like this opening weekend. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Sark, for his coaching staff, for the players, and we're excited to play these guys. It's rare that you would, kind of play someone like this towards the end of the season and start the regular season with them, but here we are, and I think it's going to give us a great barometer coming out of the first game. But for us, as we talked about before, the preparation starts really early because you got to be on point, and we got to play a clean game. That's very, very important. And so, as you get closer and closer to the game, you just do everything you can to prepare the guys. I think when you look at our season, which is unique this year, one of your goals should be to win the opener. I mean, that's clear. We did that when we had Big Ten games to open the season, win the opener, and then you kind of go from there, which allows us an opportunity to focus on one game at a time. And then, once this game's over, we'll figure out what we did well, what we need to improve on. The issues will be there. They'll surface, and then we address them. So, it's an exciting time of year because now we get on the field and figure out where we're at, figure out where the guys are at, and go from there. But it's important that we play clean in game one.
Coach saying all the right things there. Obviously, bringing in a new quarterback there in Julian Sain. We'll see how they all look on Saturday. Coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, we will catch up with our friend Sam Rothman. Last time we saw her was in Atlanta. She's headed back to Atlanta for a big season opener for the Tennessee Vols as they take on Syracuse. We'll have her coming up next. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. We continue our game week preparations. We were just talking in the commercial break with our girl, Sam Rothman, and she said something that we've been saying all week. It's finally game week. Welcome in, Sam, from WATE in Knoxville, Tennessee, preparing for a monster matchup as the Tennessee Volunteers open up the season on Saturday against Syracuse. Number one, have you been now that the high school football is full swing here? I don't know if it is there, and now gearing up to game week.
Yeah, we had, a little taste of football last week with high school. Now this week, we finally have high school and college. Super excited for Tennessee, Syracuse. A lot of unknowns with both teams, so it should be a really fun one down in Atlanta.
Of course, the last time Tennessee played was in the college football playoff, and so much has changed. And there's been so many headlines, obviously, a lot of stuff that we don't have to retread with Nico and everything else. But there's a lot of exciting things as well with Joey Aguilar stepping in as the QB1. What's the overall vibe as you're talking about a team that had so much success last year but looks so different this year?
Yeah, and because they've had, because they look so different and have had so much turnover, there's not a lot of hype for this team, and I feel like the players kind of like it. They like having that chip on their shoulder. They've been saying all week that, people don't think that we're going to be that good. People are looking down on us, but that's exactly when Josh Heupel has been at his best, when there really hasn't been expectations for this team. And yes, there are a lot of young guys on this team, but they're all 4 or 5 stars, so they have the talent. It's just getting them up to speed. And I think Tennessee still has those veteran pieces that are going to help lead the charge. And just looking at Joey Aguilar, I mean, the players love him, and we love talking to him. He's the most humble guy, like blue collar. So there's a lot of positivity around the program itself inside the meeting room that maybe is not on the outside of people looking in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. Is ever since Joey was named QB1 there in Knoxville, has anything changed about him, his demeanor, kind of like that swag a little bit?
Yeah, he still has that swag. He is so calm, cool, collected. Exactly. Like, those are the 3 words you want from a starting quarterback, right? Especially a new guy who's new to the offense. And he is humble. He just talks about putting his head down, working hard. He talks about how he just can't wait. He's like, if you told me this, 2021, 2022, that I'd be the quarterback at the University of Tennessee, like, I would never believe you. He was going to junior college, right? So he knows what this opportunity means, and he has really worked hard for it. And I think he appreciates and understands, what it means to be the quarterback at Tennessee. And it's something that he doesn't take lightly. And I think he's super excited for it.
Of course, Dylan Sampson last year burst on the scene and was the best running back, in my opinion, the best running back in the country. I mean, no offense to Ashton Genty, but he did it in a much harder league, and Sampson did it in a much harder league to me. And so, obviously, there's a huge hole there, but obviously there's so much talent, as you just mentioned. 4 and 5 stars litter this entire roster. One of those guys, obviously, being Deshaun Bishop. And talk a little bit about him, his progression, and just what they expect for his role in this year's offense.
Yeah, you talk about positivity from this community. I mean, he is a local kid. He went to high school here in Knoxville. He obviously loves playing for his hometown Vols, and everyone is super excited for him. He finally earned a scholarship. He was a walk-on for the past 2 years, and he earned it. I mean, that's the thing. He has totally transformed his body. Coach Jarrell Sims talks about him as just being a leader on this team, but he's not the only guy. Like, don't be surprised if maybe, you see him for a couple of drives, then all of a sudden you see Peyton Lewis in there or Star Thomas. They feel really good about the 3 guys that they have in the room, and I know we're going to have some sound coming up from Deshaun Bishop, but he talks about how this room is so unselfish. They're all rooting for each other, and that's sometimes hard to find. These guys, they kind of want the ball. If you're running back, you want the ball, you want to get into the end zone, you want those carries, and they talked about how they're just excited for each other, and they're really excited about the trio that they have this season. Yeah,
you teed that up perfectly, Sam. Let's hear from Deshaun.
A lot of running backs around the country is kind of like arrogant a little bit. You don't want everybody touching the ball. But, I mean, we love seeing each other make plays, and I really think that shows our character, not selfish at all, and wanting everybody to see it. For me, that's I'm praying for all of us to succeed. Honestly, I know I'm gonna do my thing, and Star's gonna do his thing, Peyton's gonna do his thing, and the other guys are gonna do theirs. Like, I know that you can take me out of the game and go put another one in. It's not gonna be a drop off at all.
It's so funny last year, Sam, because all the hype was about Nico and his arm, but you said it beautifully last time that this team was really kind of run heavy when you look at the overall numbers. Do you expect the same sort of game plan? I know Joey Aguilar could just throw it up and down the field. He did it at App State, but I wonder just how much Coach Heupel will obviously situations in the game will dictate a lot of things. If they're facing a lot of second down and long, third and longs, they're obviously put it in the air a lot more. But do you expect to see from a pie chart a perspective that they're going to be as basically run to pass ratio as they were last year?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, if you can say more conservative, just being that I think they're going to be a run-heavy offense this year, especially what Joey Aguilar can do, but you don't know what he can do. Maybe they won't be as conservative against Syracuse, but they will be just because it's week 1, but especially I see them relying more on the running backs going into SEC play as well. But just just because, everyone talks about the loss of Nico, but it's really more the loss of Dylan Sampson.
Yeah.
But these three guys, I'm telling you, if there's one thing that Heupel and all the players talk about are these three guys, the running back room, they feel really good about it, and they really like that they have three different pieces they can use. Because if you go back to that Ohio State game, I know a lot of Vol fans don't want us to talk about it, what happened, but the thing is that Dylan Sampson was banged up. I mean, he was on the sideline for the most of the game. He just couldn't go because of all of that work that he had throughout the season. He was basically their one guy. Yes, Deshaun got some time. Yes, Payne Lewis got some time, but it was really the Dylan Sampson show. And the benefit of that is them sharing the wealth. It'll help with injuries. It'll help with overall workload. So I think if there's one thing that Tennessee is so excited about this season, it is that running back room, and for good reason, and that's why we should see them a lot, relying on those three guys.
I know you talked a little bit about maybe seeing a little bit of that run game against Syracuse. Looking at the Orange, they had I don't want to say an awful pass defense last year, but it was definitely a weakness for them. Could you see Joey light it up in that game, or do you really see the running backs taking over?
Yeah, and this is just, from the Twitterverse. I have seen that maybe that pass defense has not improved this season.
Oh, boy.
So with Joey, he likes to sling it. So it could be really fun for Tennessee and that offense. Maybe we'll see hints of 2022, But again, I think Heupel does such a good job of adjusting game plan wise. We saw it. The big thing was in the Oklahoma game. They were going to the pass game early on in the game, and then they had that lead, and then they just started running the ball like crazy, getting 2-3 yards. And Coach Heupel actually said to Nico after the game, you did a great job, but, we needed to be more, safe there. And that's something that I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they get up early. Maybe we see, a little bit more conservative play, save some guys. But, yeah, if Joey is lighting it up, we're all for it, because there's been so much talk about the young wide receivers room and how they're going to do. And it will help with everyone's confidence, Joey's confidence, the wide receivers' confidence, the offense as a whole, if they can start getting that pass game going. Because yes, Nico was experienced. He is a big loss, but again, it really wasn't the passing game last year. So if they can get that going early this year, kind of prove those doubters wrong, I think that would just be good for the team as a whole.
I know we didn't talk about this on the front end, but this is actually a more just a thought question than anything else.
Yeah.
The 9-game schedule of the SEC came out last week, and there are a few teams to me that are really, really interesting, because some, like Missouri, they've been in the league for a long time, but they haven't really been able to create a whole lot of natural rivalries. Tennessee, to me, is almost in the opposite direction, to where when you're figuring out there are 3 permanent opponents, you can go a lot of different places. Obviously, the Alabama game, you think about the Georgia and Florida and Vandy, of course, in state. Is there any talk there in-house, there in Knoxville, of who the Vols want to keep on the schedule moving forward, and some of the ways that maybe people in the building or just fans in general want to see that schedule lay out?
Yeah, it's funny you mention it, because someone asked Coach Heupel this yesterday, and he basically said that he loves the 9-game schedule. The SEC is the best. It has the best venues. That has the best teams, blah, blah, blah. But he was asked which 3 opponents he wants to see as those protected rivalries. Of course, he didn't answer. But I think if you would talk to a Vol fan, you got to go Alabama. Yeah. You got to go Vanderbilt, because, especially with the whole Diego Pavia thing that's going on now, that has only lit fueled the fire of this rivalry. If you're a Vol fan, maybe you don't want to see Georgia every year. Haven't had that much success against Georgia, but then you see, okay, so let's say you have Alabama, Vanderbilt. You got to put Kentucky in there, but then there's also Florida, and then and then Georgia. It is a good storyline rivalry. Obviously, I know it's new to the SEC, but that Oklahoma game last year was crazy with Josh Heupel's ties, and Oklahoma's coming this year. So I don't know. I think Alabama's a shoo-in and Vanderbilt's a shoo-in. It's kind of that last game, and if you want it to be really tough, I would say Georgia, Florida, but if you want to keep things, sorry, Kentucky fans, keep things a little bit easier, maybe throw the Wildcats in there for maybe another W on the schedule.
This was a topic between the two of us yesterday. It was like we talked about this new 9-game schedule and how we go tying it back to conference realignment and stuff like that. All of these rivalries are broken up. Hey, why don't we go ahead and start some new rivalries that we can look back in 20 years from now?
What's a new rivalry you guys want? What do you want to see?
Oh man.
Man, I'd love like a Tennessee LSU, not as a permanent, but
I was
just
just
those.
gonna say that. Yeah.
Those colors, because the colors of both teams are just so completely opposite. I mean, like there's on the I'm not a color expert, but there's just so different on the color spectrum that stadium would just look cool. The environment will look cool. I think the game would be awesome. Just something like that. It's something that we saw every year, because even in division they were opposite divisions, so they only played each other like once every 7-8 years or whatever. So I thought that was really
and they
interesting.
played a couple of years ago, and that game was electric.
Yeah,
and I know, you know what you're going to get with both venues,
right.
both fan bases.
Yeah. And I
love it. Yeah.
Why not? I feel like wherever that game goes, or whenever that game is, though, at both stadiums, in both Death Valley and in Neyland, it's got to be at night. Like that's got to be a night game in both stadiums.
Cannot.
Yeah. It can't be a day. Can't be a day game. Can't be a day game.
When you have those nice jerseys and those colors, it has to be a dark sky and lights. Yeah.
No question. No question. All right. Before we get you out of here, I know you're busy. You are a Syracuse alum. So
don't tell anyone here. I try to hide it.
Which is great for our business, because Syracuse is a phenomenal J school. But I don't know if we will have you on between now and kickoff. We got to know, forget the cameras. It's just us in a room. I want to know your heart of hearts. Where does it lie going into this big matchup? Obviously, you're an alum of one school. You cover another school. Just tell me, just give me a word salad of what's going on in Sam's head as she breaks this game down.
I've been telling everyone I'm just rooting for the team in orange.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Smart,
we'll see what happens. What is the uniform combinations, and then maybe I'll have to change my answer. So I don't know. But yeah, that's what I keep saying. And honestly, I loved my experience at Syracuse, going to school there, learned so much, and it's really cool for me to be able to go to this game, because I've reconnected with professors, people that I know in the industry who worked in Syracuse. We're hopping on each other's shows. We're trading footage. So it's kind of like I'm back in school. So it's really cool. But yeah, I'm so excited for it, honestly. And I'm just rooting for a good game. I know that's cliche.
Right.
I'm rooting for a good game that has good storylines, and so I can talk well after the game and have a lot to say for our newscasts.
Sam, I applied to be entered into the graduate program over up at Syracuse with the Newhouse program, and I was looking at the future schedule when I was filling out my application, and I saw Tennessee, and I circled that game, and it was definitely going to be a game that I was going to make the trek down to Atlanta, because all you got to do is just drive over to the Syracuse airport, hop on a plane, and you can go direct to Atlanta. Simple as that. But we talked, G and I yesterday, we talked a little bit about our best bets for week one.
Yeah.
And I took Syracuse covering at 13.5. Everyone's going to say, oh, here's the homer. And honestly, you might be right, but I don't really care. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I feel like going into week one for this Tennessee team, we don't know a lot about. A 2-touchdown favorite is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
For a quarterback learning a new system, too.
Yeah.
Yes. If I would give my opinion, I think Tennessee is going to win. I think Tennessee it's Tennessee's game to lose. If Tennessee, bites, I can't even think of the saying, bites, what's it? Shoots itself in the foot, right? Is that the saying or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of things would have to go wrong for Tennessee to lose this game, I think.
Yeah.
But 2-touchdown favorite, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not a bettor, so if you ask me what to take, I wouldn't. The terminology just goes right over my head. So my take is that I think it's going to be a little closer than 2 touchdowns.
So what Sam is saying without saying
put that in your betting lingo.
She's saying
Tennessee on the money line, but bet the Cuse to cover. Boom. I like it.
Oh, so I agree with Patrick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what this stuff means.
We'll teach you.
We'll
teach you throughout the course of the
season.
season.
Guys who can teach me. Yeah.
Sam, real quick, one more question for you.
Yes.
Tell the SEC folks about the Dome a little bit, and how unfortunate that this is a neutral site game rather than it being at Neyland or up at the new JMA Dome.
Okay, well, I gotta be honest for you. Like, this game should not be at the Dome. This sounds so bad, but
Yeah.
it should either be at Neyland or in Atlanta.
Man.
Going to my first football game here in Tennessee was a spring game, and there were 60,000 people to watch a glorified scrimmage. And I said, where am I? Like, what goes on here? So you cannot. I'm sorry, my Syracuse people.
But it's the Loud House. It's the Loud House.
Have you been to Neyland? I think
I've not been to Neyland.
Yeah.
No, okay.
That's
go
probably
to Neyland and then come back, because I thought, I was like, oh, this is fun. This is, I guess, Power 4 school now, like big time program. And then you come to these SEC schools and you're like, oh no, this is totally different. So I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. I honestly think that Atlanta may be louder than it would be.
Hey,
like
the Dome will always reign supreme in basketball. At least there's that.
Yes,
that
great
is
place
true.
for a basketball game. I've heard they fixed the air conditioning, so that would be a plus. But
that'll be news to everyone.
Yeah.
When I was there, we had no air conditioning. So
get this, named the Carrier Dome.
Yeah.
And they
no
had broken AC.
No air
Like,
conditioning.
oh my goodness.
Wow. The name sponsor not living up to it.
No,
goodness.
unfortunately not.
Sam, you've been unbelievable. You've been awesome. We will teach you betting. Safe travels to Atlanta.
Yes. Thank you
and,
so
and
much.
Sincerely, thank you so much for joining us. You've been great.
Thank you so much. I might place a bet now, because
do
now
so.
I've learned.
Yes. Sure.
I'll sign up for DraftKings, and then when I lose all my money, I'm gonna come on next week and blame you guys.
And then we'll have to ante up for it. You know what? I'm okay with it. We're okay with it.
Okay.
You're the best, Sam. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Sam Rothman out of Knoxville. And you know what I love? I love her objectivity. She said, you know what? I can't co-sign this game being at the what is it now? The JMA Dome?
The JMA Dome.
The JMA Dome. She's like, no. She's like, it's got to be either in Neyland or at Mercedes-Benz, which I love. So she's objective about it. She's like, hey, I'm a grad, but we can't do it here.
I mean, the Dome.
I was wondering if it was the same thing as Carrier Dome, because I remember the Carrier Dome for basketball.
Yeah, they changed the name like a few years ago, and there's a public outcry up there. Because you just can't. With the Carrier Dome, it's just too iconic.
Yeah, that always was synonymous to me with like right before the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
like the Carrier Dome and Jim Boeheim's out there.
That's college basketball right there.
100%.
That's basketball, baby.
100%. Syracuse grad. She covers Tennessee. She has been doing a phenomenal job ever since the quarterback battle. When Joey Aguilar got the job, she hopped on. Right before game day, she hops on. Sam Rothman, KCK do a phenomenal job at WATE in Knoxville, gearing up for that big one against the Syracuse Orange. Coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, we'll talk top 5 people that talk for a living. Sports broadcasters, as well as catching up with the Alabama offensive line. Could be some trouble there. We have that and more coming up next. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus, rolling on here on a Tuesday of game week for all the teams in the SEC. We talked about the Syracuse-Tennessee game. We talked a little about the Ohio State-Texas game. We will talk a little bit more about the Alabama season opener to begin with in just a bit. But first, let's bring you another installation of one of what has quickly become one of my favorite things we do on this show, a top 5 list. This is all Patrick's idea, and he'll come up with different categories, and we will find times during different shows to have a top 5, not only a topic, but then it gives us a chance to really dive deep into what we think about those topics. And so we've done everything from build your own roster, from quarterback to wide receivers and running backs and everything. One of my favorites last time was pick your favorite singular team in the SEC. Like the 2004 Auburn team was one of the teams that I picked. Now crowned national champions, by the way.
Newly crowned natty champs.
Natty champs, 20-plus years later. And, Patrick, we have a new top 5 this week.
Yeah, so this week we have top 5 college football sportscasters. Yeah. Now, this can be either play-by-play guys or the analysts. I mean, I kind of left it pretty broad. The only restriction I put on was they have to have called a college football game once. So you want to roll right in?
Called a college football game once.
Yes.
I don't know if that caveat fits with my number one. But I think he might have early on in his career, maybe as a guest. I did not know.
We'll keep it in there. We'll give you a pass on that.
Everybody else has. I have a top 5, and I have some honorable mentions. So in my top 5, the number one guy I got to go with is John Madden. Of course, everybody is synonymous with him as an NFL analyst, as an NFL host. But Madden, to me, he's the GOAT.
Yes.
He's the best person, in my opinion, to have a microphone and to talk football, because he could talk football with your football geniuses, but he could also talk to the old lady down the street who doesn't watch the game at all.
Exactly.
And he could just resonate with everybody. Vin Scully, to me, is probably the most talented broadcaster to ever grace the planet.
I fully agree with that one.
Grace the planet.
He's just synonymous with the LA Dodgers.
Yes.
And I mean, even going back to the Brooklyn Dodgers, he's still synonymous with them.
Yep. And I think he did it for, close to 90 years or so.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
I think that there was a span of guys that he called their at-bat. He called a guy in at-bat that was born in, the 1920s or in, early 20s. And then he called a guy who was born in, the early 2000s. That's how far his career goes, is that he's called the at-bats of these guys that span back for so long, all the way till current day.
And I mean, it's really unfortunate because now, Vince Scully, who passed away, I believe it was 3 years ago, it was unfortunate that happened on my birthday. So now, now all that I can really think about is, because I mean, I wasn't a Dodgers fan growing up, and by the time I really grew up and started to remember everything, this was well past when he was doing football and stuff like that. At this point, he was just doing Dodger games because he was getting up there. So it's really unfortunate that it just so happened to lie on my birthday. Now every year it's it's really unfortunate.
Right, and it's kind of like one of those bittersweet things, because then you also remember his career. That was just this amazing run of sports broadcasting. It's one of those things where you feel like people are just called to certain careers, called to certain jobs.
That was totally him.
1,000%.
And I mean, I don't mean to shy away from football here, but I believe when Joe Davis, who's the new play-by-play guy for, I don't really want to say new, because he's been with the Dodgers for 9 years now.
Yeah.
But the first thing he said was, I'm not trying to replace Vince Scully. You can never replace him, but I'm going to try to I'm going to incorporate my own things, but I'm also going to incorporate things that Vince Scully would do. And one of those aspects would be the storytelling. So now every time, I mean, Joe Davis, he's really grown up as well, and now being the lead voice for MLB on Fox.
Right.
But he's really taken that element, and now every time I watch a game, all I hear are stories. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. And I think that's what made Vince Scully so special, was that, I mean, he could take, and I know at-bats are quicker now because of the pitch clock, but he could take those long at-bats and just tell a story just beautifully through it. And then literally, whether it's a strike 3 or it's a home run or it's an out, he'll find a way to just put a nice little bow at the end of that story and he's on to the next one, and he'll get out of the inning and go from there. So, but yes, he obviously is known for baseball with the Dodgers. Also started as a college football broadcaster at Fordham University, where he went to school as well. So some football experience there. Another guy that's synonymous with college football, Keith Jackson. I'm gonna do my best Keith Jackson impression.
Here we go.
Whoa, Nelly! Back in the day, he would call the games. What I always remember, he'd call the Rose Bowl games, and it was like right as the sun was setting over the San Gabriel Mountains, behind the San Gabriel Mountains, and he would just have like this perfectly done like soliloquy and it showed the camera shot, it showed the Rose Bowl, you're in Pasadena, you see the sun going down, and he would just have like this moment that captured the environment and the game all at one time. And it was just, he was just so special, but he was just known for like whenever a big play happened, whether it's whoa Nelly or just some inflection. To me, he was absolutely great. I don't even know if you remember Keith Jackson.
No, but the way you're describing it, going back to your list here, it almost sounds like the next guy, Greg Gumbel.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
He was synonymous, in my opinion, with my experience. He is synonymous with March Madness because he used to be the host of the selection show.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
yep.
Another unfortunate passing that we found out about earlier this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at this list, and being the young guy I am, I'm thinking of these guys being the other sports because when they were in college football, it was before my time.
Yeah,
and you look at Jim Nance too.
Right. And he was something before my time. But Nance on there as well. But I'm more. I think I'm now Nance more. And I think you do the same thing with more NFL on CBS with Tony Romo, and of course his stuff with golf and when he did with March Madness back in the day. But so all those guys, Keith Jackson was really the main one that kind of kept his name there in college football. But everybody else is about the same. Quickly, my honorable mentions: Brent Musburger, Bob Costas.
Yes.
This guy, I don't know if he did college football. Mike Breen, Al Michaels back in the day. Dick Enberg worked for NBC. Marv Albert, and I have to double check to see if he did college football. He might have done a little bit early on in his career. Kevin Harlan, Harry Carey. Those that's my honorable mentions there. Musburger was this close to making the list, but Gumbel and Nance got on ahead of him. But Musburger, to me, what I always loved about him, he'd always incorporate the gambling line. Yeah. Before he would talk gambling before gambling was even like a known big thing. He was like. He would just say out there, he's like,
gambling you used to never be able to talk about it.
Right.
And one of my professors at West Virginia, he used to work for ESPN. And so he would always be like, no, we could never talk about it. And now ESPN's got their own betting stuff and betting shows. They've got their own sports book. I mean, it's just crazy how way things have changed.
No doubt.
And you could definitely see the change here on my list in comparison. Up at the top. My bosses here, WKRG being a CBS station, aren't going to like this, but I just have to go with Gus Johnson at number one. He'll always bring that energy, and just him saying big noon Saturday, that gets you right when you think about college football.
Absolutely.
Brad Nessler, SEC fans have grown accustomed to him. Obviously, ESPN has the rights to the conference now, but back when it used to be SEC on CBS, Brad Nessler, I mean, he took over for Vern Lundquist, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Number 3, Joel Klatt, going with Gus Johnson. I mean, they've been like that 1-2 punch that's
been a great team.
It's hard to beat. It really is.
It's a great team.
Looking at 4, Chris Fowler. I mean, just thinking of the college football playoff and him being on the call for all those big games. I mean, that's a pretty recognizable voice.
Absolutely.
And then at number 5, I kind of threw a little bit of a curveball here. Mike Monaco. He's kind of new to the landscape-ish.
Right.
He does a lot of NCAA baseball on ESPN.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But he also does college football on ESPN. And he's kind of like one of those young guns that's really starting to grow into his own. And I really, when you watch the game and you hear his voice behind it,
right,
it really makes you seem like he's actually into it, because seems like nowadays there's some guys that just don't even seem like
Right,
they're into it. But,
right.
you know, he definitely brings the excitement, and I think he's one of those up-and-coming guys. Something that comes to mind, I'm going to go back to Syracuse again, but watching the Miami-Syracuse game last year, I mean, he called a great game.
That was a great game. He called a great game as well. Yeah, you're right. And Monaco's like, I think it's one of those things where that almost looks towards the future. Like in a guy in the next 25 years, is he in that legendary status that we see some of these other guys in? And I think that is really, really awesome. So top 5, there's another one, another installment of top 5. I really like it. Can't wait for the next one. And we'll dive more into that. And we will take a quick wrap here. We'll talk a little Alabama coming up after this, both this season and what's ahead for their future. Some interesting things popping up today in the news. We'll have that and more next. Back here on Southeast Sports Plus, week 0 of the college football season is the injury bug hitting the Alabama Crimson Tide, as Roberts is now questionable for Saturday. Alabama's offensive line taking a little bit of a beating. We've already heard from their running back, and Jam Miller injured his collarbone in the second scrimmage, so he will not be able to go there. Looking for him to go against Georgia in the SEC opener. But Patrick, this is not a good sign here for Alabama, breaking in a new quarterback in Ty Simpson.
No, and that's exactly right. I mean, that's not what you want for your new starting quarterback, is for one of your most veteran offensive linemen and Jaden Roberts being out or questionable. We aren't fully sure yet on that. But, I mean, if he is out, Kalen DeBoer, he's going to have to go to senior Gino Vandemark, who he's had action, but he hasn't really started a lot.
Yeah. So the inexperienced guy might be having to play a key role here. Here's Coach.
Yeah, and Gino was here a year ago, was battling, and we threw him out there in, a couple series a game, and he would do a great job. And, I've referred to him as Swiss Army knife guy, can go out there and do a lot of things, so he's really valuable to us. And, really a lot of confidence, not just by me, but I know everyone out there offensively believes in him, and, he's done a nice job. So, really feel like you skip a beat at all. And he was in there competing for that spot in the first place, all along the way. So, he loves us. He there's an energy that Gino, as you get to know him, that you really appreciate. And I think he adds that to our offensive line, in his own way.
So there is Coach DeBoer talking about Vandermark. He did play in all 13 games last year, so he's an experienced guy. He's a big guy, 6'5", 333 pounds is where he is listed going into the season. So I think they do have some confidence going to him if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does help that he has played a little bit.
Right.
As you said, he did get in every single game, but only made one start, I believe.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, can he get over that mental barrier, being a guy coming in relief, so to speak,
right,
like the baseball, and then become the starter?
Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see. And in the offensive line, in my opinion, will be really interesting just because of all the injuries there to the running back position. Hour 1 in the books. Coming up, Hour 2 here on Southeast Sports Plus. Stay with us.
Outbound transmission?
Affirmative.
Crew ready?
Check.
Signal lock?
Check.
Downstream stations online?
Linked and locked.
Let's light this candle.
Flame on.
In 3, 2, roll show open.
In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. Hour number 2 is now starting in game week here on a Tuesday. There you see Alabama practicing. New quarterback Ty Simpson is the QB1. However, some injuries have really plagued this football team. notably their running back last week when Jam Miller injured his collarbone. They expect him, hopefully, to be back before the SEC opener, but also some injuries across the offensive line. I am Gerhard Mathangani. Simone Eli is out on assignment. We had a chance to talk to her yesterday just a bit. We see if we can get that lucky again today. I know today is a pumpkin spice latte day.
Yeah, as she calls them, PSL.
PSL day. She's been counting down the day for the PSL day.
What was that you said? It's like it doesn't deserve an acronym.
Yes. Okay.
Something like that.
So I know pumpkin spice latte just from the more of the cultural impact. I mean, people talk about pumpkin spice lattes and all that.
People talk about pumpkin spice anything.
Right. So it's synonymous with the fall. However, it is so new that my standpoint on this is that it has to go by pumpkin spice latte.
Yes.
It cannot go by PSL. It has not merited itself enough worthiness to go by a nickname. Maybe 15 years down the road, maybe 30 years down the road, it might be important enough. But not enough of America in the world drinks it, in my opinion, for it to be called a PSL. That's my personal opinion.
My opinion is that if you're just going to refer to it as like an acronym,
right?
That has to be a well-known acronym by now.
Yes.
PSL, you and I were both, and she said something about, oh yeah, it's PSL season. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is that?
And I think if you are, it might be one of those things where let's just say you're really into Harry Potter, or you're really into Lord of the Rings, or you're into fantasy, whatever it is, or a video game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have the thinking that the whole world is into it the same way that you are. And so then you will, put abbreviations to things or shorten things up that you think that the whole world does, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
Not everybody does. And that's what I think has happened with the pumpkin spice latte, the crowd, the community. But I know I'm not making any friends with the coffee lovers of the world. Because I know to them, they're like, I walk into my Starbucks and I tell my barista, you want a PSL with extra, I don't even know what people get on. What do people get in PSLs? I know you're a coffee drinker. I don't think you're
I don't drink, no.
PSL drinker.
See, I'm a man of routine.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
That's just always how I've been.
Yeah.
Just looking at routines and stuff. Whenever I would play baseball, I'd go through the same pregame routine.
Right.
I would wash my jersey, but I would wear the same undershirt and everything for every game.
Okay.
I mean, superstition.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball players
that's
are
not super crazy. Yeah.
Notoriously superstitious. But no, when it comes to coffee, I just get pretty much the same thing anywhere.
Yeah.
Just give me a latte or something.
Right.
Because I need espresso. I can't just drink normal coffee. It's got to be espresso because,
What's the difference?
Espresso, it's more condensed. The caffeine is more dense. But I just... It also might be what do they call it? What's that thing? What's that term that they use where you think it's having an effect on you, but it's not actually?
It's the placebo.
Placebo effect. Yeah. It might just be a placebo effect where it's I got to have espresso and not just coffee. But
yeah. But it actually kind of works backwards where let's just say that somebody gives you, they don't give you an espresso. They just give you like a water flavored espresso, and they put it in there, and all you're drinking is high quality H2O, and you're over here thinking
H2O.
You're over here thinking I'm on the good stuff. I'm on the juice. I'm on the juice.
And then it's just water.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's just water. So let's go back to football action here. Okay. So this is a really interesting situation for Alabama because not only is the running back down, but it looks like they might have to patchwork a little bit of their offensive line. How crucial is this, in your opinion, for new quarterback in Ty Simpson, who's obviously breaking in, will have a new running back behind him or beside him if he's in the gun, and also for what they're trying to do up front there with the offensive line? How important do you think this is? How pivotal do you think this is?
I think Coach Kalen DeBoer, he's just going to downplay it and act like, everything is fine. But in reality, I mean, you look at the sport at all different levels. A quarterback's play comes down to the protection that he gets.
Right.
And if you have a guy that's as experienced as Jaden Roberts is for Alabama, and he misses this game against FSU, not only is it FSU, but it's a week 1 opener, that's going to be a major problem for a guy like Ty Simpson.
Right.
And I understand that they're going to turn to Geno Vandemark if Roberts were to miss this game. He did play in all 13 games and made 1 start. But still, I mean, this is a guy that, Simpson has been working with all offseason and getting to understand, all right, where's his weakness? Where's the strength?
Right.
Now he has to plug in a new guy who, I mean, as I've seen, being a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, with how bad the offensive line has been recently.
Right.
It's tough for anyone.
It is. And especially when you have a guy like Ty Simpson and even like Dak Prescott in that case where and if you have good receivers. So, like, for example, CeeDee Lamb needs time to get open.
Yes.
Ryan Williams, he doesn't need a whole lot of time, but just enough time to be able to run his route, break it at the right spot. You can't do that with a hampered offensive line.
You can't have a guy under center that's just going to be scrambling, fighting for his life all day.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't set anyone up for success. You can have Ryan Williams on your team, but if you have, like, security guards that just go like this, blocking, basically, like, you can't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking a peek here at the spread, though, at the offense, at the line, according to our friends over in Vegas. What I find interesting is not necessarily what the line's open, because the line opening is really just a gauge for the books to find out where the money's coming. What I find interesting is where the line moves after all of these moves. Here's the thing. It's opened at 12, and we've had so much happen. Ty Simpson was named starting quarterback. Jim Miller is now out for this football game. Some questions on the offensive line, and essentially this line hasn't moved at all. It's still minus 13. Alabama's a 13-point favorite in this matchup. So Vegas is almost telling you it doesn't matter what quarterback they play, because it was still 12.5 when it was the other guys. It doesn't matter what running back they put in for Jam Miller, and now they're saying it doesn't matter what offensive lineman is in to help protect Ty. They still think Alabama is that much better, and it's just like the sound we played in the previous hour where, Coach Kalen DeBoer is saying, hey, we have a guy that we trust and Vandermark that we think can go get the job done, and I think Vegas is saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, trust is a big thing in college sports.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it up to any sport. You
Absolutely.
got to have trust in your guys to go ahead and get the job done. But no, I also think that the line hasn't shifted because of Vegas's trust. I'll use the word again, trust in FSU going into 2025.
Right.
As we all remember, they did not have a good year last year at all.
They did not.
And it was a major disappointment for head coach Mike Norvell after he had a guy in Jordan Travis and the whole saga being left out as a 13-0, right? That's what they were 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Being left out of the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And Georgia promptly said, yeah, he didn't really deserve to be there anyways.
Well, and I kind of agree with the committee. I mean, Florida State at that point, that wasn't the Florida State that went undefeated.
I mean, Jordan Travis was out.
Yeah.
Their backup quarterback got a concussion.
Got hurt.
I mean,
right. And then it showed in the bowl game.
I don't care if they had guys that, sat out or anything.
Right.
You don't deserve to be in the college football playoff if your backups.
Right.
Like, I mean, they still had starters in the game.
Yeah.
And they got blown out by what, 50?
Yeah.
I mean, you still don't deserve to be in that game.
I forgot who played in that game. But you're right. But to me, with Coach Norvell, there's a lot of question marks in the other end as well. Because they have a new quarterback, obviously.
Yes.
They have a new offensive coordinator and former Auburn offensive coordinator and Auburn head coach in Gus Malzahn. To me, what I see from this matchup, there's so many unknowns to me for both teams, but more unknowns for Florida State. Well, Florida State, in my opinion, they can go into this game thinking we're playing with house money. Like this is if we win, that is a bonus for everybody. If we go out and play well enough, then we might think, okay, we have a shot at being in the upper crust of the ACC. Now, will either of those things happen? I'm not sure. I think that the gap between them and Clemson is still very, very wide. Even maybe the gap between them and Miami. We'll see how Miami does against Notre Dame. But to me, like, Florida State can just go play loose.
Yeah.
Just go out there and just sling it around.
And I mean, I'll use the words of our friend Sam Rothman in the first hour.
Yeah.
She said, in regards to the Tennessee-Syracuse game, it was Tennessee's game to lose.
Right.
Well, in this game, it's Alabama's game
to lose.
Game to lose because, I mean, Florida State won 2 games last year. Alabama is coming off it's hard to say that last year was a program's worst season.
Right.
In, I don't know, what was it? I think the stat line was like 18 years.
Yeah. and even still, like it was, I think it was Alabama's 6-6 year when Nick Saban first got there. Like,
because I mean, there's pressure on Kalen DeBoer, whether he wants to admit it or not, because
100%.
the fan base is going to be like, all right, if we lose this game, then it's like, here we go again. We can't win the big games post Nick Saban.
Right.
Whereas Florida State, it's like, hey, if we win this game, we could build on something under our new quarterback.
Yeah, and I think they'll have, to me, Florida State. If I'm a Florida State, I throw everything at Alabama. I just say,
got
hey,
nothing to lose.
No, nothing at all. And to me, it will be a good gauge of Ty Simpson to see where he stands, see where he goes as far as the rest of the AC or the rest of the SEC goes. There in that Alabama Florida State matchup. I don't know. Do you have any of the Clemson stuff in and or available?
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was obviously with Clemson. We'll dive a lot more into this game a lot later. But Cade Klubnik is the quarterback for Clemson.
There he is.
And there he is right here. What do you make of the hype that he is getting going into the season? And obviously this huge game against LSU in Death Valley.
You know, I really do think it's warranted because here's a guy that, you know, he's kind of like a college football unicorn nowadays, whereas he stays at the same school and just develops. And I know that's what head coach Dabo Sweeney said in regards to his press conference, I believe, earlier today or yesterday, whereas Clemson has Cade Klubnik, LSU has Garrett Nussmeier.
Right.
And both of these guys have stayed at these schools, developed, waited their turn. That was a big that is the talking point
huge.
nowadays for college football quarterbacks is, all right, are they going to wait their turn, you know, sit behind these guys that have more experience, learn from them, and then ultimately go on to be the better quarterback? But, you know, being an ACC guy, I got to watch Cade Klubnik a couple of years ago when DJ Uiagalelei was still at Clemson. I was at the Clemson-Syracuse game in that Death Valley. I guess we'll refer to it as that. And DJ really did not have a good game. I think he threw 3 picks in the first half, and he got benched for a freshman, Cade Klubnik, at the time. And Cade came in and played like he was a seasoned vet. So, I mean, I knew it was there. But it's just – it's good to see these guys wait their turn. And I know Cade was a preseason AP All-American. Some people think it should have been Garrett Nussmeier. Some people think it should have been Arch Manning. But I'm going to tell you this now. When you watch this game versus LSU, it's LSU-Clemson game. I know the line's -4 for Clemson.
Right. Yeah, it depends on where you shop. But you get 3.5 or 4. I see 3.5 here on Action, but 3.5 or 4.
You're gonna see why Cade Klubnik is getting the attention he deserves. Now they're gonna have to replace. I mean, I guess we can dive a little bit here into Clemson. They're gonna have to replace their lead running back Phil Maffa, who got drafted by the Cowboys, I believe. But that wide receiver room returns pretty good talent. Bryant Wesco Jr. He's a stud. Out on the edge, and he'll get open. We saw that in the Texas game. He had a bit of a slow start, but then managed to get in rhythm. But no, everyone's talking about how LSU is going to win, but I mean, you're forgetting about Dabo. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and if that game were at a neutral site, I'd like LSU a lot more. But the fact that it's in Clemson, I think it's really, really interesting. Another interesting thing is what we do in the NFL a lot is whenever you do the matchup, you end up doing a matchup of quarterbacks. So it's like, okay, so you have the Houston Texans against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's a division matchup. Well, you really think of it more of it's C.J. Stroud against Trevor Lawrence, and that's how you do the matchup. In these games, to me, it's kind of the same because to me, the LSU Clemson is more Cade Klubnik versus Garrett Nussmeier, and then in the Ohio State Texas game, it's more Julian Sayin versus Arch Manning. I'll let you think about it during the commercial break, but which quarterback matchup do you like more between the 2 top 10 games in the country? Because to me, the way we pair these 2 games is the way we pair the NFL games with those 2 quarterbacks there, and of course the head coaches being the stars.
Some good thought on that one.
100%. Well, coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, we'll be joined by Parker Ring, breaking down the Auburn-Baylor matchup over there in the Lone Star State. Stay with us. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus, dissecting an action-packed week 1 of the college football season. The first SEC team that will be on the field is the Auburn Tigers, and they will do so over in Waco against Baylor. It's a really interesting and unique matchup. We are so so glad to be welcoming back Parker Ream, our buddy out there out in Waco. First of all, Parker, it's been a couple of weeks since we last talked. How are things out there? I know in Alabama, high school football is huge, and in Texas, high school football is even whatever huge's biggest cousin is because it is a monster out there. How have your last couple of weeks been?
Yeah, it's been good. Kind of like we talked about a little bit before, a little bit busy, if you can imagine, right? And the perfect storm culminating, like you said, first SEC team to play is on a Friday night, and that brings the perfect storm of high school football sharing the spotlight. I just think it's going to be a great week. I'm more excited than nervous of the workload that I have to do. So, I think that's the exciting time of our sports season.
Yeah, we'll catch up back with you on Saturday and Sunday after you're doing your recap shows, and I know you have a whole lot of good help there. Let's break down this Auburn-Baylor matchup because I think a lot of people are really interested in this for multiple reasons. Obviously, on the Auburn side, with Hugh Freeze coming back, this is third year, lots of questions and a new quarterback. But also for Baylor's side, this is a team that ended off the year on a very, very strong note. And now gearing up for this Auburn football team, what's been the vibe out there during fall camp as they get ready for this matchup?
I think it's a vibe of confidence, right? Like that's something we haven't seen out of this Baylor football program really ever since, I guess, 2022, coming off of that 2021 Big 12 championship. But you get the sense that this Baylor team is just different this year, or they feel different. And that's something they've been preaching, but they've also been trying to downplay the importance of this game, I think, or maybe just treat it like it's any other game. But everybody from the outside, even us talking about it right now, this isn't just any other game, right? I think for both programs, really, like you mentioned, Hugh Freeze, that hot seat isn't cooled down yet. So this is a big game for Auburn, as it is a big game for Baylor. And I think for Baylor, it's to let other people know, hey, you should take us seriously, but if they lose this game, that could pose some problems confidence-wise, where we've seen them as confident as ever throughout this fall camp.
Right.
Parker, we've kind of a main theme today on the show has been leaders stepping up on the offense. Who can you see that steps up here for Baylor in this matchup?
They got a couple of dogs on the offensive side. I'll tell you that much. I think really led by Sawyer Robertson, the quarterback under center. I mean, that's where all the eyes draw in the offensive side, and I think he took a major step this past season. He wasn't even the starter heading into last season. It was DeQuan Finn. They brought him in, former MAC Player of the Year, and then Sawyer took over the job when DeQuan Finn was injured and really never let it go. And I think now he enters as one of potentially the Big 12's best quarterbacks. So I think that pressure, he's been handling that really well. But not even just that, but in the backfield, Bryson Washington had a stellar year running the ball. Dawson Pendergrass, he's their running back 2, kind of a 1A, 1B kind of situation. He is out for the season with an ankle injury, or a foot injury. So that's kind of a blow to this offense, but Sawyer's got plenty of weapons to throw to, which he really hasn't had in past seasons. So I think it's going to be same Baylor offense, maybe even better than it was last year.
Okay. Absolutely, yeah. David Wren is one of those guys that he's a great defensive mind, and obviously a lot of people know him from his background. What are some of the ways that you think that he will try to dissect this Auburn football team, especially as it relates to some of the guys that Jackson Arnold has there on the outside?
We talked to him a little bit about that this week, and a lot of it's focusing on what Auburn does really well, and they're focused on taking away the run. And I think that's something that Baylor's been trying to get better at this season. Their defensive line is poised to take a huge step, but obviously where a lot of the eyes go to is Jackson Arnold and Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. Like, those players are who you think you should stop, but Baylor's like, if we can force them to throw the ball, that's what we want. And I think they're going to almost make Jackson Arnold and the passing game prove it, is what is the vibe that we got, at least on Monday and even today, talking to some of the players. about what their defensive game plan might be.
No question. You teed that up perfectly. Let's listen to Coach Aranda on handling two really high caliber receivers in Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton.
It's a challenge. I think it's a challenge. I think it's going to take the front people doing their part to help the people that are in the back. I think we're going to have to be able to get calls in. We have to have cleats in the ground. I think if you're looking at it as a one-on-one or one versus one proposition, I can see where maybe from the Auburn side you're feeling confident about all of it. I think we have to look at it as hey, this is where my help is. This is where I'm playing to my help. This is my part in the thing. I'm going to do my part so that the overall team can execute. And so I think pass rush is a big part of that too. I think, it's going to come down to stopping the run and getting them into when we feel like they got to throw it. I think if they're running the ball and they can play action pass and 4x1 RPO kind of at will, then I think we're not kind of in control of anything, and then that's when those matchups become an issue. I think if we're able to get it to where it's a one-sided thing, at least partly, I think we can play some of that better.
We're gonna dissect more of what Dave Aranda said momentarily, but I gotta mention one observation that just came to mind, and Patrick just brought this up. It sounds like he is about to he sounds like the guy from Taken, Liam Neeson, like that calm voice that's literally about to go kill you if you don't do something. He just, because he was a defensive coordinator for so long, I just remember hearing him here in smaller sound bites. I hadn't really heard him in a press conference setting for a long time. You don't have to break down his voice, but break down his overall demeanor and what you just see there covering this program day to day, because he just reminded me just in that soundbite, and it was just it was good to hear him back again. Just a calm voice that has a plan, but also kind of sounds like a mercenary.
Yeah. I kind of was actually thinking about that on Monday, listening to him talk, because as we do a mic check, somebody gets up to the podium before he steps up there and does a quick mic check, but you can't talk like we're talking right now, right? You can't talk at a normal volume, because he talks like he's going to mumble and he's going to stumble.
Do we have some good impressions
going
on?
You want to get an accurate mic check if you're going to do it, right? So I think that's kind of how people do it, but I think he's super calm at the podium, but then you see him fired up at these games.
Yeah,
sometimes he's like there's been videos of him slapping behinds and screaming at his players. I think that is the Dave that you get on the field, and then off of it is a little bit more reserved, a little bit more even keeled, and that's kind of how he runs the program. But I seriously was thinking the same thing listening to him talk. I think I might have asked that question, honestly, about the wide receiver room. So, but I just remember thinking, man, he is talking really quiet today.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
man. We gotta do a good job, stopping the run. Yeah. And then on Friday night, hey man, why'd you make the block? Come on, what are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah. My ears are not that good, so I really can't. I'm glad that I'm at least front and center to hear that.
No question. Yeah, Dave Aranda, obviously, he's made, I think, a lot of people feel confident in his, not only his scheme, but Baylor, to me, for the longest time, under Art Briles and others, where Baylor was the team that would score 50, 60, 70 points. And now this team is so now well-respected defensively. What do you think will be the calling card of this team? Because as you mentioned, they have some dogs there on offense. And then and defense is where Dave Aranda kind of has made his money. If you were to expect them to lean on one side of the ball or the other to come out ahead in whether it's the Auburn game or any others, where do you expect to see them, especially early on in the season?
Yeah, I think they're hoping they can get back to that defensive side of the ball, at least that being their calling card, because that's really what won them that Big 12 championship in 2021 is having some studs like Jalen Petrie and Terrell Bernard, who went on now in the NFL to have pretty successful early careers. I think you want to have that consistency on the defensive side of the ball, and we saw that a little bit in the bowl game, the Texas Bowl against LSU, where there wasn't that. And I think that's kind of sat with this Baylor squad all summer long and throughout spring and summer and fall, where now they want to sort of right the wrong of last season. And, if you're going up against the playmakers that Auburn has, I think you have to be better on that side of the ball. But the offense has the tall task of replicating what they did last year. And I think if I had to pick one side of the ball, though, I think they're probably going to hang their hats on offense. But they're hoping they can hang their hats on defense. And if they could put 2 and 2 together, I mean, it's a scary team in the Big 12.
Parker, I'm going to pose an interesting question here. If Baylor were to win the coin toss at the beginning of the game, would you want them to take the ball down the field first or go on defense first?
I don't know. That is an interesting question, though, because I am interested to see how Jackson Arnold plays on Friday. I think everybody, I mean, whether you're an Auburn fan or a Baylor fan, I think we don't know what we're going to see out of Jackson Arnold. Are we going to see, this highly touted prospect, or are we going to see a little bit maybe of what we saw at Oklahoma? I think that's, nobody could say for sure what we're going to see at McLean on Friday night. So I'd almost defer and kick off because that you have the offensive firepower to get it done. Maybe you save that for the second half as well, but I would personally kick it. I'm always, whenever I'm playing the video game, I
was just about to say that.
I always kick.
The Bill Belichick special, you go ahead and
Exactly.
you defer. You score a touchdown at the end of the first half, get the ball back, score a touchdown again.
Yep.
Exactly. It's just simple math.
It swings it, absolutely. Dave Aranda is obviously a great defensive mind, but so is DJ Durkin, the defensive coordinator for the Auburn Tigers. And I know we got a chance to hear from Aranda about Durkin. Let's hear from him, and then we'll break down what he said on the back end.
Yeah, I think there's talent there. I think very similar in, you look at the beginning of the year last year, and those first couple games, the Utah game comes to mind, and then you look at the end of the year, any of those last 6 or 7 games. And the difference was in the beginning of the year, man, we would lose a block. We'd lose a one-on-one. A lot of what we do is block out, and so there's some man blocking going on, and we'd block out and we'd be cross-faced, or a guy would slip underneath us, or towards the end of the season, you never really saw that at all. You saw, pounding knees and leverage and lift and finish and all this thing. And so I think that is going to be at a premium for this game because of the talent that's assembled over there. I think that, along with tempo, and I think that along with the more that it's spread out, and if we're able to get loaded boxes, our ability to win on the perimeter, and to get those guys that are inside to run this way and then run that way and run back and forth, and then hit them with a run is all part of it.
I think it'll be a really interesting matchup there, and you got a chance to catch up with both sides there. As it stands right now, I don't know if you do predictions. We ask everybody if they do predictions. We will let them say them. If they don't do predictions, we will respect that 1,000%. How do you see this game playing out there with the Baylor Bears and Auburn, and what it projects for both teams moving forward?
I honestly, people keep asking me that, and I think it's a fair question. I don't fault you guys for that, I guess I could say, but
it's a hard one to predict.
Yeah,
it's a hard.
It is a hard one to predict. Yeah. I honestly do think both teams are pretty even. I just think from what I've seen from Baylor, and maybe it's biased from what happened last year with Auburn, really the past couple years. It's almost like a prove it to me for Auburn, but for Baylor, they should prove it, and that's kind of. But you look at it, Auburn's the 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
I think if I had to put a prediction on it right now, I'm going to say 27-21 Baylor.
Okay.
And book it, lock it in. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring because the weather over here actually is supposed to be pretty bad on Friday night.
This is good to know.
Yeah,
this is good to know.
That is
terrible for us going out and shooting either the Baylor or
the high school games,
or the high school football games that we're going out to on Friday night. So gonna have to bring plenty of weather gear, but I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. Run game probably is going to be very important. but that's going to eat up the clock. So I really don't think it's going to be super high scoring, but I do think it's going to be close.
Yeah. For all you sports bettors out there, Parker is basically saying, do not bet the over on any quarterback passing yards.
Over, yes.
Parker, Reem, you've been absolutely awesome, man. And I know that it's a very, very busy week for you and your team with high school football and one of the biggest college games in the entire country right there in your neck of the woods. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you down the road.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. This was awesome.
Thank you. Parker Reem helping us to cover that Auburn-Baylor game. These are two states to me, Patrick, Alabama and Texas. If you were to make a top 10 list of the the states that love and respect their high school football, it's these two states that are easily
I'll go above and beyond and say these are the top two states.
Top teams. Right.
You think Alabama? Football. You think Texas? Football.
Exactly.
And then maybe right behind them, Florida and California.
Right, especially on the high school level. So I know Parker and company are very, very hard at work on a very busy week of the opening week of the college football season, week 2 of the high school football season. We thank him for his time and the great sound bites and interesting storylines from Waco, Texas. Coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, we dive into a whole lot more as we get ready for game week. Coming up straight ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. We've had a great, great show today. Sam Rothman out of Knoxville, Parker Reem out of Waco covering the Baylor Bears. On the show today covering a phenomenal week 1 of the college football season. Patrick, there are several storylines going into these games, and one of the things that we do with all of our guests on the way out is we ask them, and some people don't do the prediction space. Some do. Obviously, Roger works with Texas, so he wasn't going to
pulls Kirk Herbstreit.
Yes.
I'm calling the game, so I can't say anything.
Can't do it.
Can't say anything.
And everybody else, they give kind of their what they think is going on as far as their team goes, as far as it relates to their squad. To me, the hardest game to predict was that Auburn-Baylor game, just because there are so many new aspects to it. It is a Friday night. It is a home site game. It's not like, Sam's game with Tennessee. Tennessee's going to Atlanta in that game. Syracuse coming to Atlanta. It's a neutral site game, so obviously the tickets can be controlled there. Auburn's going in a true hostile environment against a team that is really, really confident right now. That's what I think is really interesting about this entire week one.
Yeah, and then two programs as well that I feel like are on the same trajectory as to where they have been in years past and where they're trending right now. I mean, I feel like they're just neck and neck with each other.
Right.
But yeah, as you mentioned, the Syracuse-Tennessee game, that's at a neutral site. I think we know what we're going to get with LSU Clemson. I mean, two very experienced quarterbacks coming back.
Yeah.
Maybe you can throw Alabama FSU. You don't know exactly what you're getting.
Possibly.
Because, I mean, Thomas Castellanos, quarterback there for FSU, he has experience. But, this is definitely one of those, like, wild card games where it's like, man, it's on a Friday night, too. So it's like, there's going to be eyes on this game because it's a Friday night on week one of the college football season.
Yeah, well, I'll be out at a high school football game, of course. And so I think a lot of people will be. And so, but there obviously, like you said, there will be a ton of people watching this football game, engage a lot of interest just because it is the biggest game there on the slate. You used a word, trending, there, and it reminded me of our next topic of people who are trending upwards. And I'll tell you what. A former SEC quarterback, played here at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, and then went on to become a first-round pick of the NFL draft. Jackson Dart has looked absolutely sensational. Now, we have to temper it because it is the preseason. However, we've seen some guys be preseason guys, first-round picks that come out and look terrible in the NFL preseason. What do you make of Jackson Dart and where he was this time last year to what he looks like right now, which is knocking on the door of being a quarterback there in the NFL?
I go back to last year when he was at Ole Miss, and you could just tell that this dude was confident in himself and his capabilities. I remember Ole Miss kind of released like a hype video of him like dancing and like walking out, but as you're going to see here, this is a stat line between Jackson Dart and QB1 there up in New Jersey, not quite New York.
Right.
Russell Wilson. I mean, he's outperformed him. Granted, he has thrown more passes.
Yep.
But, I mean, 3 touchdowns, 372 yards in 3 games. 113 rating.
That's the number.
That's the one that really sticks out to me. And then you compare it to Russell Wilson's 72.3.
Right. That's the number to me, is the quarterback rating, because you're right. There are more attempts for Dart, and there will be for the rookie quarterback. That's the first-round pick. You know what Russell Wilson is. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's been to another Super Bowl. You know what you're getting. He's an older guy. You know his skill set. But Dart, you're looking to see, hey, is this guy the future? Can this guy take that leap? We saw it his last year with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And I think a lot of people want to just, kind of eye roll Ole Miss quarterbacks because they're saying that, you don't really play in a pro-style offense. This is not really what we see on this level. Well, Jackson Dart is proving that it can translate from Oxford to the NFL. And I've just been so impressed with his poise and just the way he's been able to handle everything. Because as we know, New York is a different market. Especially with the team, especially that team, the Giants. I know they play in New Jersey, and you parse that really well. But the New York Giants, to me, you correct me if I'm wrong, but see, to me, the Giants and the Yankees are kind of the legacy organizations that get the hardcore media.
Yes, and I will agree with that.
And the Jets and the Mets, maybe more so the Jets than the Mets, but the Jets, to me, kind of seem like, they're cute. Like whenever they have a good season. It's cute. They haven't had one, obviously, take away the Rex Ryan years. They haven't had one since Joe Namath. Like,
I was about to say, they're still trying to chase the ghost. Is that what you said yesterday? They're chasing ghosts?
Yes,
of Joe Namath. But, I mean, the Jets, they're hoping for something to build on.
Right.
Obviously, the Russell Wilson, the Aaron Rodgers experiment, that didn't work out.
Right, went horribly.
I thought that they were going to be better.
Me too.
Than they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if gosh, I keep trying to say Russell Wilson. If Aaron Rodgers hadn't torn his Achilles on the first drive of the 2023 season, was it 2023? I think they would have made the playoffs that year.
Me too.
I
They were
firmly
loaded.
believe it.
Yeah, they were loaded. Obviously, they had Garrett Wilson, and that offensive line was really good. The defense was really solid that year. But, yeah, he tore the ACL, was it the first series, second series? Yeah. And he was done. In that
His highlights for the year were him running out with the American flag. And then next thing you know, he's on the ground.
Yep.
But, I mean, the other thing that sticks out about that was he almost came back.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I don't know what you want to call it.
He's using some holistic medicine.
Holistic medicine.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's done some different stuff, and he's gone about it.
His darkness retreats.
Yeah, right. I think that he's obviously taking a different path, and one that I find really interesting. I find people who think about different ways to do things is really interesting. We'll see if he comes back and plays better and plays stronger as the quarterback with Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But as of right now, I like what I see out of Jackson Dart. And when you think about quarterbacks that play for that franchise, you obviously think of Eli Manning. You think of Phil Simms. And these are guys that won Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah.
But they did so in the quiet way. They did it in a quiet way, but in a big city. Because New York City, obviously, is a city that never sleeps. So they don't, once again, they don't play in New York, but the people in New York, this is one of these teams is their teams. It's either the Jets or the Giants for the most part. And so, to me, if you are a Giants fan, the last few years have been really rough.
Yes.
But Brian Daboll has shown a lot of promise. Look what he did with Josh Allen. And you're thinking,
look what he did
again?
with Daniel Jones that one year.
Exactly. Right.
I mean, he managed to get the best out of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
To the point where Daniel Jones just ripped off everyone in the NFL, getting that major contract.
He got a nickname.
I'll never get over.
He got a nickname of Danny Dimes.
Dimes.
And then he got a contract that made every other quarterback agent hate his agent because he's like, love the agent because I guess the agent was going to make them more money, but the teams all hated the negotiating table because, well, now you have to deal with, you got to make more money than this guy. That's just the way the quarterback market works. Yeah. And Danny Dimes kind of came and ruined everything. But now you have a guy that's on Russell Wilson on a smaller deal, and now you have a rookie quarterback that's on a rookie scale, like on a rookie deal. So let's just say Russell Wilson doesn't work, and let's say you go to Jackson Dart. Well, now you have a runway of his entire rookie contract to go load that team up defensively, and they could be dangerous. In my opinion, they could be dangerous.
I mean, I think that he's going to be the best quarterback of the 2025 draft, but we did get a chance to hear from Brian Daboll after Jackson Dart had a little bit of an injury scare. He says he just got the wind knocked out of him, but here's what Daboll had to say about his rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I wouldn't coach it out of him. There's just certain times that you got to make the right decision. I would say in this particular game is probably a good time to slide, the third preseason game. Every situation's different. I've had different quarterbacks that could run and are pretty productive running the football. There's a time and a place. You'd like to take as few hits as you can, but I like Jackson's competitiveness, his toughness. We got to make the right decision. Those are split-second decisions, Connor. So, I trust him. I trust the guys that I've been around, our guys. I trust them to do the right thing, but I'll never take his competitiveness away.
So Brian Daboll, he does have ties to the SEC, coached on Nick Saban's staff before going back to the NFL. He was in the NFL, went back to the NFL. So it's good to see Daboll kind of maybe getting that quarterback whisperer back there, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's only a matter of time before Jackson Dart does become that quarterback for New York. I mean, every time I'd see Daboll on the sidelines, he seems very excited when he looks at him.
Yep, time will tell for sure. The NFL season is just around the corner. Well, coming up next here on Southeast Sports Plus, the future schedule for Alabama did include one team. It does not anymore. Our boy Patrick's going to cook next. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus, breaking down the week 1 of the college football season. So excited to have Sam Rothman on from the Knoxville area and Parker Ream on from Waco, breaking down 2 huge matchups, Tennessee game against Syracuse, as well as the Auburn game against Baylor. A game that we were expected to see in 2026 is Alabama and West Virginia. West Virginia is the alum of our own Patrick Walsh. And Patrick?
Yep. You know, I had this.
I'll let you cook.
I had this like circled on my calendar.
Yeah.
Ever since I heard about it, but yes, Alabama and West Virginia have canceled their 2-game series, and when you look at what Greg Byrne here has to say, the Alabama director of athletics, we know that college athletics has been evolving and changing rapidly over the last few years, and it made sense for us to make these adjustments on our future schedules. We have a bit more flexibility as we transition to a 9-game format in the SEC, and it gives us the opportunity to further evaluate how strength of schedule is evaluated for the college football playoff. Between other home and homes as well as conference games, we will continue to have a solid strength of schedule, which is good for our team, fans, and college football.
Wow.
Well, you know what, Greg Byrne? You just took away what could have been a great matchup between 2 amazing fan bases.
Yeah.
I don't think he realizes that this would have probably rejuvenated the West Virginia program if it wasn't already rejuvenated by the return of Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But then you go ahead and say this about how you want to further evaluate how strength of schedule is evaluated. I don't care if you have Florida State on your schedule next year. I don't care if you have Ohio State the year after. You go ahead and flip this West Virginia game in 2026 for East Carolina.
East Carolina. That's
come
where,
on, bro.
that's honestly, that's where I was like, okay, I'm on board with you. And then find out that ECU is the replacement game.
Like, okay, I understand Nick Saban's not at Alabama anymore.
Sure.
I think when this was originally scheduled, both programs were like, all right, let's take a gander on when Saban is going to retire.
Right.
Obviously, him being from near the Morgantown area, from Fairmont, West Virginia, this would be kind of like a homecoming for him in his final year. It doesn't hold as much value anymore. I get it. But this is a program. These are 2 programs that could really benefit from this matchup. And I think the Big 12, this is kind of like a slap in the face to them because, I mean, they're losing a major matchup.
Yeah. To me, all right, this one's interesting in a couple of senses because I'm going to take you back, and this didn't dawn on me until you said the name of the new head coach there, Rich Rodriguez, who was actually at my alma mater. Yeah. Speaking of alma maters, he was at my alma mater, Jacksonville State. Built a great program there, or kept a good program going, I should say, over there, is that Rich Rodriguez had a chance to get the Alabama job before Nick Saban got a chance to get the Alabama job. So that one was really interesting. We'll see how it all breaks down. But Bama not playing West Virginia anymore. Thank you so much for joining us on Southeast Sports Plus. We'll see you tomorrow.